Quiet.
Mr. President-elect,
Go ahead.
can you state
She's asking
categorically,
a question. Don't
Mr.
be
President-elect, can you give us a question?
Don't be
You're
rude.
attacking us. Can you give us a question?
Don't be rude. No, I'm not going to give you a
question.
I'm not going to give you a question.
Can you state categorically?
You are fake news.
Sir.
I'm Dr. Dave Janda. Welcome back to Dave versus the MSM. I'd like to thank you for joining me today. I'd also like to thank you for networking this information to all those you know and love. The more people we have educated, the more people we have empowered, and the more people we have empowered, the sooner we end this reign of terror, and it is a reign of terror, by the globalist cult. This reign of terror is not an accident. It's not a coincidence. It's not from incompetence. It is willful. Their goal, and they've already told you through their World Economic Forum tentacle, their goal is to make us all have nothing and somehow be happy about it. Yeah, right. One way that we'll have nothing is by them bringing down the financial system. And they're in the process of doing that. And if you don't take the necessary steps, unfortunately, this is not fear porn, it's just being honest with you, you will have nothing. Because our adversary, the globalist syndicate, the cult as I call them, are evil, truly evil, incredibly sinister, very diabolical, and in fact, they're psychopaths. So when you deal with a psychopath, well, you got to get ahead of their game. If not, you'll be their prey. It's that simple. Many people, rightfully so at this point, are concerned about a nuclear war, a tactical nuclear war, a kinetic nuclear war, a military-based nuclear war. It's a very real possibility. When you look at the puppets that have been installed around the world to foment chaos, disaster. Because out of this chaos and disaster, their handlers, the bankster families, one more time, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, Lazards, the Pinkuses, the Warburgs, the Seifs, the Loebs, and the top of the pyramid, the Pessour family. They always, out of these wars that they create, they always get more power, control, and financial resources. But this one is the big one, okay? The big one. Because they realize that the DEBT-based system, financial system that they have benefited from for hundreds of years has run its course. And they need to bring it down because, well, they need to create a new system where they get even more power, control, and financial resources. And they have rigged the financial buildings to come falling down in their own footprints. And in so doing, you will have nothing. And they will have everything. And the puppets that have been installed around the world have created the situation where currently we are in, not going to be in, we are in a financial nuclear war. And 99% of the population in the world is unaware of it. Unaware of it. Why? Well, their attention's diverted to the conflict with Russia-Ukraine, the conflict with them in the Middle East, the conflict in China-Taiwan, the conflict with the domestic conflict. And they're all those conflicts are meant to distract you. And then you throw in, The Bachelor and the Bachelorette show and what's on TV and who's winning the game here and who's doing that and It's all a circus. Pickpocket. The best pickpockets are those that are telling you, look at the left hand, but the right hand is taking everything you got out of your pocket, right? That's what they're doing here. The financial nuclear war actually really escalated into a nuclear war in March of 2022. What happened in March of 22, Dave? Well, what happened in March of 2022 is when their installed puppet Biden and his installed puppets around him in the United States and around the world in the West said, we are going to freeze. Steal is the operative word. $300+ billion of Russian assets because we don't like what they did a month ago, February 2022, in what they're doing in Ukraine. Now, prior to that, Russia and China, along with India, and Brazil, South Africa, and now Saudi Arabia, and 41 other countries that want to join them. More on that in a minute. They set up a system called the BRICS systems. Each letter stands for a country. And in this, they said, we're really getting tired of this dollar. And we might create our own trading platform and our own trading currency. And they had this in the cards for a number of years. But it really escalated in March of 2022 when all of a sudden the U.S. and the West confiscated Russian assets, froze them because you were bad. Well, what that did is that got Russia and China and the other countries in the BRICS group to say, okay, well, we got to do this sooner rather than later. They got to take this off the shelf, and we really got to get this trading platform and a new trading currency and jettison the dollar. It really put a booster rocket under it. And then all these other countries around the world say, well, wait a minute. Russia has nukes. And if the United States is doing this, taking their assets, and Russia has nukes, what are they going to do to my country? I don't have any nukes. They're just going to take my assets. Maybe I'll go talk to this Putin and Xi. I mean, they're kind of rough people, but I'm going to talk to them and see if they're interested in my country becoming part of their organization. And now you got 41 other countries that have lined up. Right? So now we start seeing the ramifications of this. Now remember, this is not an accident. This is not a bad set of coincidences. And this is not from incompetence. This is all willful. The bankster families had it planned that when the financial buildings came down, they would present the option of saying, oh, we have central bank digital currencies to take the place of the dollar. Or we have a basket of currencies called SDR, special drawing rights, that we run those currencies, but the bankster families. But that's an option rather than the dollar. What ended up happening on the way to the implosion of the buildings is Putin and Xi cut a side deal. They're globalists, but they cut a side deal. They said, you know what? I don't want to take all this heat. I don't want to do all their dirty and then not get a bigger cut of the pie. So they said, well, let's boost the whole BRICS thing as an alternative. And that's what we see now. Look at some of these pieces of information, pieces of the puzzle from RT News. BRICS, the BRICS countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Saudi Arabia, okay? And 41 other countries now that want to join. BRICS should be ready for a dollar collapse, Russian IMF rep states. The international group could create an alternative currency, the BRICS group, based on their national legal tenders, according to Alexei Motion. Quote, such a proposal is being discussed in the event of the collapse of the dollar and the international monetary system. It will be necessary to turn the said BRICS accounting unit into a real currency backed by exchange goods such as gold, silver, oil, natural gas, food products. The dollar is backed by vapor. Nothing. Nixon took us off the gold standard in August of 1971. The dollar is backed by nothing. The faith and credit of the United States. Faith? Who has faith in the United States government? Credit? We're $35 trillion in debt. A couple $100 trillion if you look at the unfunded mandates of Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. Faith and credit. Yeah, okay. Well, let's add another piece to the puzzle. From the South China Morning Post recently. Di Dongsheng, vice dean of Renmin University School of International Studies, stated, quote, China's investment in U.S. government bonds is fraught with risks, tepid returns, and other vulnerabilities, all of which should motivate Beijing to unwind its holdings further and avoid being held hostage, remember what we talked about taking assets, by Washington's exorbitant privileges as quote, he warned, the enormous sums of Chinese assets and capital parked in the United States could be, quote, taken hostage, end quote, by Washington if Beijing were to step up the defense of its sovereignty and territorial integrity. What he's saying there is when we go and take Taiwan. In the end of May, we saw they had a drill, right? They surrounding Taiwan with ships, flights over into their airspace. Quote, there's no reason to load up on U.S. treasuries, he said. We have seen how Washington treated Russia's overseas assets and its sequestration of German and Japanese assets during World War I and World War II. And they're already taking the dollar out of circulation in their trades. BRICS, 20% of oil payments settled in local currencies, not the U.S. dollar. In 71 and 72, Henry Kissinger with Nixon created the petrodollar so that they convinced Saudi Arabia and other Middle East countries, don't sell your oil. We'll protect you. We'll back you up militarily, okay? And we'll give you use of our CIA and, whatever. But demand oil payments in dollars. And then take those dollars and invest it in our bond market. That was the petrodollar. Now they're walking away from that. This is really important. BRICS is aiming to control the global oil sector and bring the U.S. dollar down using local currencies for trade. Chief economist William Jackson of Capital Economics, quote, some are seeking to reduce their risk of possible sanctions on the use of dollars in trade. China's trying to act as a geopolitical counterweight. As the dollar falters, gold becomes insurance, not speculation. You have seen China, Russia, India, Turkey, Indonesia, many other countries accumulating, India, huge amounts, tonnage of gold and silver. Because when financial chaos hits, 5,000 years has taught us gold and silver maintain their store of value while everything else is melting. It's not an accident they're doing this, folks. Buying physical gold is purchasing insurance against monetary mischief by the Federal Reserve, according to Douglas French. The reason to buy and hold gold is just in case the Federal Reserve goes by way of Zimbabwe. We're already there. China's gold buying spree could be the straw that breaks the dollar's back. Beijing could hold the key to imminent demise of the U.S. currency's special status, from The Telegraph. China's stockpiling of gold could also be a warning that the country could use its large holdings of U.S. government bonds as a weapon, dumping them. And they have been dumping them. Any threat to dump these bonds could drive up the cost of borrowing, not just in the U.S., but also around the Western world. African and Middle Eastern nations withdraw gold reserves amid American economic concerns. Where are they removing them from? From the United States, because they don't trust them to be here anymore. They think they might be taken if they say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing. In a move reflecting growing concerns over the stability of the American economy, several African and Middle Eastern nations have begun withdrawing their gold reserves from the United States in recent months. Nigeria, South Africa, Ghana, Senegal, Cameroon, Algeria, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia are all withdrawing their gold. This from international journalist Ambro Evans Pritchard. And by the way, he tends to have pretty good insight into what the cult is doing behind the curtain. Gold is sniffing out monetary and geopolitical dystopia. A powerful force is stalking the world's gold market. It's operating in the shadows. None of the normal footprints are visible on the London bullion market or the Chicago mercantile retail gold bugs have not been buyers. Quote, it's not a Western institution behind this. It's a massive player with very deep pockets. I've never seen this kind of buying before, said Ross Norman, a veteran gold trader. Whoever it is, or they are, seems insensitive to cost. Central banks do not behave like this. Quote, they buy on the London benchmark and then they don't chase the price, said Mr. Norman. This rally is happening off the books in the over-the-counter market. Quote, my bet is that a big animal with a Chinese accent is bracing for geopolitical or monetary disorder on a traumatic scale, end quote. You know, when I was a kid growing up in the 60s, we used to have these nuclear drills in school. We're going to do a nuclear drill. Everybody underneath your desk. How's that going to help me? But okay, teacher. Well, this time, it's not going to be a mushroom cloud that goes off. Actually, the financial mushroom cloud has already gone off. I've already shown you this. Now, you don't have to dive underneath the desk. But if you look at what these big entities are doing that are running away from the dollar, stampeding away from the dollar, they're buying hard assets, gold and silver. Gold and silver are the single most effective financial insurance policy as it relates to a financial nuclear war. If you haven't bought any gold or silver, you need to do so from an insurance standpoint. It's what will protect you. I did a video a while back. It's free. It's on my website, davejanda.com. It's in a little red box toward the top of the subscription content. It's called Dr. Dave's Fight for Freedom, his family's 4-generational fight. It's about what happened when financial chaos broke out in 1907 and 1908, and how precious metals as an insurance policy saved my family's lives. You need to watch that if you haven't. It's also at the very top of my YouTube page, Operation Freedom. I encourage you to watch it. I encourage you to network it. I encourage you to network what we discussed today in this video, because you'll never hear any of this on what I call CNBS or Fox Business News. You're just going to hear Stuart Varney on Fox Business News tell you to buy NVIDIA and Microsoft and all that garbage, all that paper vapor stuff. When you hold something, this is my dad's way, if you hold it, you own it, right? Why did he used to say that? Because there's no debt, D-E-B-T, associated with that piece of gold, that piece of silver. None. But with every stock certificate you own and every company, they all have debt. And they're on the hook. The banksters have created a debt system, not by accident, not by coincidence, not because of incompetence. It's to make you a slave to them, because when they pull that debt, they own you. Protect yourself in this financial nuclear war. Until next time, Dave Janda signing off. We are available 24/7 at davejanda.com. Extra shows, content, guests, analysis, archives to all of our shows. The subscription fee, 30 cents a day for the premium service content and email service, is beyond a bargain. It's our cost of doing business. It takes thousands of dollars to have a very, very secure website available for people 24/7. The content you'll get nowhere else because I provide content nowhere else. It's based on the contacts that I've developed behind the curtain, fighting for freedom for over the past 36 years. Nobody else has those contacts. I do. And I bring that information forward on that subscription platform. I hope you become part of our freedom family. Until next time, Dave Janda signing off. Dream big and dare to fail. Thanks for joining me today.